Hello everybody, I'm Sarah Clark, the editor of NFC World and your moderator today. We're going to be starting the main event in just a couple of minutes' time. Before we begin though, there are a few housekeeping items I'd like to run through with you so that we can all get the most out of this webinar. Firstly, questions and answers. You can ask a question at any time by pressing the Ask a Question button on your BrightTalk console and typing in your question. We'll be monitoring your questions throughout the session, and I'll be putting as many as possible to our speakers at the end of the main presentations. At the end of the webinar, you'll have the opportunity to rate the quality of this event from 1 to 5 stars. Please do use this facility as we really welcome your feedback. A recording of this webinar will be available on NFC World for you to watch again or share with your colleagues and contacts just a few minutes after the event is complete. You'll receive a link to that recording as soon as it is ready. You will also be able to download a copy of the slides for this event in higher resolution at the same time. Okay, we're now ready to move on to the main event. I'm going to click through to the next slide in just a moment so that we can formally open the proceedings. Everything from there onwards will be included in the recording, so I shall begin by quickly introducing myself again and then our speakers today. Okay, let's begin. Hello and welcome to Case Study, lessons learned from selecting and implementing a tokenization solution able to serve 200 banks, an NFC World webinar sponsored by Carta Worldwide. My name is Sarah Clark. I'm the editor of NFC World and your chairperson for this webinar. I'm joined today by 3 speakers who all have first-hand experience of implementing tokenization technology in the financial services arena. Giles Sutherland is Vice President of Strategic Alliances at Carta Worldwide, an award-winning leader in digital transaction processing and enablement technologies. Giles has a background in financial analysis, enterprise software solutions and market development, and has played an active role in driving Carta's market growth since its early days. Giles holds a Bachelor of Commerce degree in Finance from McGill University. Henrik Hoffmeyer is a Senior Vice President at payment services provider Nets, where he has overall responsibility for mobile services. Henrik has a background in information technology, corporate finance and accounting. He joined Nets in 2015 and has previously held positions at Oracle, IBM and a number of mobile companies and startups. Henrik has an MBA in Global E-Management from Copenhagen Business School. Buffy Duke leads the business development team at Carta Worldwide. Buffy is a globally respected expert in mobile payments and mobile wallets and has been directly involved in groundbreaking projects in Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, the US and Latin America. A former MasterCard Executive Vice President, Buffy has also held senior positions at CSAM and at Network for Electronic Transfers Singapore. I hope you'll all join me in thanking our speakers in advance for sharing their knowledge with us today. So, without further ado, I'd like to pass you over to our first speaker to begin their presentation. Giles, over to you.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you everyone for joining this session this afternoon. As a brief introduction to Carta, our role is as an enabler for transaction and payment technologies within this space. And really what we do is we power the solutions for our clients to deliver leading products into the market, like Nets and others. And what we really do is bridge the gap between a lot of the existing payments infrastructure and the modern payments environment, which is increasingly complex and dynamic. And particularly, we're focused on the issuance and delivery of payment credentials and accounts and services linking consumers and the payment devices, which as the market grows and evolves, is adding layers of complexity, both in terms of the connections and integrations required, as well as the opportunities to add value and enhance those user experiences for different retail, online, in-store, and other environments. And really the background for the topic of today's discussion is the current payments environment. And as we began our business, the vision was really to design technology that would be able to support the modern and evolving payments landscape. And as we look today, that is only accelerating in terms of how that is changing. And there's a real question around how technology can adapt to deliver consumer-centric solutions for the modern environment, and in particular, the role that banks will play as this digital payments environment and the financial technology industry continues to undergo this change. And our role as an enabler of technology and our partnership with Net is really to address that and to evaluate what are the core services for banks, what's their role within the ecosystem, and what technology can be utilized to deliver those core services. And our view of that is that banks' core is really the relationship with their consumers, their understanding of the more holistic value proposition within that space. And there are a number of underlying technology and infrastructure components that are required to support that. And our vision around these tokenization technologies that we're going to be discussing today was really to simplify that, deliver capabilities that could reduce cost, simplify the impact onto existing back-end systems, and accelerate deployment for flexible and consumer-centric payment solutions so that banks can focus on what are the core value-added capabilities that they deliver into market and allow the underlying technology components to be addressed within a simplified framework. And that's really the background context that we speak of today. And so as we talk through this, that's really, I think, hopefully the message that will be made clear is the capability that can bring the simplified solutions of, let's say, an on-behalf of service that can manage the very complex requirements for tokenization, but delivered in a way that can allow banks to really tailor those solutions to their specific needs and in turn package that in a way that drives unique and differentiating value for their market and for their direct consumers. And so with that brief introduction, I'll hand it over to Henrik to lead off. And again, I appreciate everyone joining for this session today and look forward to your feedback.
Oh, thank you, Giles, for a really nice introduction to the topic. And so our next speaker, as Giles mentioned, is Henrik Hoffmeyer from Net. Let me pass it over to you, Henrik.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the introduction, Giles. Yeah, so I'm here to give you an insight into the case study of Nets and our lessons learned from selecting and implementing this tokenization solution. And before I will get started, then I think I'll just give you some highlights to what I hope is by the end of this session is that you'll, let's say, understand the themes driving tokenization, and of course also the process of selecting a token service provider. But I'll also share some of the learnings we have had and why it's so strategically important, and maybe also open up some of the areas where we see that there is a lot of potential innovation, both around payments but also around value-added services. And in principle, just give you some insights into our journey towards being a TSP. My role in Nets, as was introduced initially, is mobile services, and we have decided in Nets to have that as a corporate role. So I'm actually responsible from all the way from card issuance over to merchant acceptance. And that is a rather unique position to be in, because then you both are on the issuing side of let's say, in this case, mobile cards, but also on the acceptance side. So that gives Nets a unique position. And in order to understand our background, I'll just give you a short introduction to Nets and our unique role in the ecosystem of payments. because Nets actually service more than 200 banks in the Nordics, which makes us a unique infrastructure supplier. But we also service more than 300,000 merchants on payments, and that is also both online and in physical stores. We have some 7.3 billion transactions on a yearly basis, but we also manage a lot of digital identities. So we are quite a unique provider in the market. And for that, we also need to take care of our customers, which primarily are the banks, and ensure that they also are able to address these future opportunities of mobile payments and value-added services. And therefore, we have set out a grand, audacious vision that we want to enable the strongest digital ecosystem and technologies, and making the Nordics the benchmark for mobile payments. But we believe that we're also capable of doing that, because by utilizing our established network and connectivity and infrastructure position, we're able to bring these new types of products to the market in a very, let's say, profound way. And when we look to the Nordics, we see a very high level of digital readiness. This is just some of the statistics out there, but in principle, you can say that we have a very high level of digital skills in the Nordics. I think it's 99% of homes that are with broadband capabilities, but it's also in the public services. We have, I think it's about 69% of usage that goes through the internet. And in the healthcare sector, more than 90% are sharing and exchanging medical journeys, journals using the internet. So we have a very high level of digital readiness. That also means that new products are, let's say, fast adopted by consumers in Denmark and in the Nordics in general. And when we look to what that then means in terms of mobile digital readiness, then we see a huge transformation from how consumers and customers engage with their banks, rapidly moving from traditional internet banking over to mobile banking. And this is some of the opportunities that we as a company needs to address and needs to support our customers with. These are some statistics from Nordea that shows the transformation, which is extremely rapid, over to the mobile side. And I think now it's probably close to half of the transaction that goes through a mobile device. And when we extend that then to payments, then we see the similar perspective here, where the traditional transactions will be converted into mobile transactions. Visa is operating with percentages as high as 60% of total transactions initiated through mobile phones in 2020. Our target is probably more like 40%, but it's probably going to be extremely profound transfer of payment transactions that will go to mobile. And I think we have all heard about NFC payment technologies many years ago, and it never really took off until lately, when I would call it new innovations with host card emulation and tokenization appeared. And this type of technology has now been rapidly embraced by banks internationally. I would even go as far as to say that some of the traditional models of telco billing and so on have disappeared. And now it seems that there is, let's say, a profound understanding that NFC type of payment is finally here. And this is largely built on the ability to tokenize payment transactions. And the big payment providers such as Apple and Samsung and Google are also embracing this type of technology. And that's why we feel quite, let's say, comfortable in that these standardized types of payments will now finally come to the market. When we then move into the banks and the consumer, it seems that the consumers really want to do their payments with existing banks, with their existing banking relationship. And when it comes to the mobile, then they very often are worried about what is the data that I'm using for payment, what is that actually used for. So we'll come back to that a little bit later about the data and the importance of where data is located. This slide in principle just shows the three different scenarios that we see unfolding for the consumer in the future. One is the scenario of fragmentation, where you see a lot of different types of payments, where each one of them is going to have a separate account, a separate place where you either have to update your payment details or credit card details. And another scenario of proliferation, where you'll probably use more or less the same either banking account or means of payment, but you might have circulated around using Apple Pay in-store or maybe using PayPal when you're online. And the last scenario of convergence is a scenario where one player just takes all payments. We don't see that scenario unfolding. We see the scenario of proliferation, where the consumer will prefer a few payment types, and they're going to use that predominantly in their payment. And what is then a payment? Because there's a lot of talk about, well, is that a wallet or how does it actually, let's say, work? In our view, payments is something that is just part of a wallet. There's many other things than just the payment. This could be value-added services such as loyalty, but also identity is increasingly becoming important, both in terms of payments, but also in terms of identifying yourselves towards other value-added services. And when we put that into a stack and relate that to tokenization, then tokenization is the core payment infrastructure, the bottom level, where we enable these types of payments. The next level would be the wallet technology. This is where we see the host card emulation technology that enables you to securely store payment information on mobile devices. And then the third step would be the wallet features. Now, our vision is to provide our customers with all of the three, but we also recognize that different banks of various size will require different things. But all of them are looking for tokenization, which is the core infrastructure enablement. So some of our customers, they are just looking for the tokenization. Others might be looking to also enable that with a white label wallet. And some customers are even asking us to provide the full stack. And this is our role in the ecosystem. And if we unfold that a bit, then you'll see here in this slightly more detailed layered stack that the lowest level is where the tokenization actually happens. And on the middle level, you'll see the additional platform features, which might be a wallet, might be HCE, but we also have other technologies such as TSM, which is still existing. This is also where you will find digital receipts and loyalty and these types of services. So our goal is to have this type of platform offered to different types of customer interfaces, meaning either wallets as we know them, but also the OEM pays, or even in the future with the smart devices where token-based payments is going to be predominant. We don't believe that we as Nets can decide which ones will win. We think that the consumer will ultimately choose which one they will use for their various purposes. Our role in principle is to support all of them. And this is where tokenization is extremely important for us, because tokenization enables us to separate each of those payments and also control them separately. And Nets as a token service provider can then also ensure that if a consumer loses their card or is afraid of fraud, we can terminate all those tokens across all of the different provisioned payment devices, and therefore deliver the same integrated experience as our banking customers have today. Now, as you can see in the lower level, tokenization can also offer us to process the transaction in various ways. Maybe it would be as a traditional card payment infrastructure, but it could also be an account-to-account infrastructure, or it could be a simple identity service where you just recognize and verify towards a merchant or an entity that this person is indeed over 18 or has the right to do a certain activity. And tokenization as a theme is, for us, a lot to do with the infrastructure enablement. And here it's important to understand the EMV Co specification that in principle enables us to use the traditional card infrastructure technically to have that platform used for carrying payment information or other types of information through our infrastructure in a way where it doesn't obstruct with existing systems. And this is something which is extremely important to banks because let's say that you have a tokenized transaction going through. Well, the tokenization also means that the information is not readily available for you to see, but you still need to manage all the downstream systems such as fraud and disputes. So it's important that the tokenization is an integrated part of your transaction ecosystem. So moving to, let's say, our own selection process and also the choice. Well, we wanted to have one big investment to support all the banks. So our investment in the whole TSP has been a substantial infrastructure enablement. And as part of that, we of course also wanted to have a token service provider being part of that ecosystem. So the evaluation process as we went through was completed by an internal team, and that was both business and technical resources. And we looked at the functional capabilities of different solutions in the market. I think we selected 5 providers. And we also looked at the experience on NFC, HCE, and tokenization in general, the suppliers' references, their organizational strength and technical capabilities, but also a lot to the flexibility in their product. This type of technology actually requires you to be able to adjust according to your own infrastructure and also specification. Then support and maintenance, the whole operational picture. And then time to market has been extremely important for us. We have a very tight, let's say, process internally where we want to launch products much faster. So time to market has been an early priority when we were selecting supplier. Business model has also been important, and the indicative pricing. Yeah, I think that was 5 windows we picked between. So the choice, well, the Carta choice, well, that was both competitive from a license-based model, but also as a pay-per-usage model. But I think what has been important for us is also that they have the appliance approach. And that is important out of a data perspective as well. As an infrastructure supplier, we are also under a lot of scrutiny from regulatory authorities. And we need to ensure where data is stored. And a lot of different suppliers in this market of tokenization, they will not be able to tell you where data is actually stored. So the whole appliance approach from Carta made a lot of sense for us because that also made us compliant. We also feel that the technology supplied was leading edge. One of the things that we are working on now together with Carta is smart tokens, which in principle is the same as a normal payment process, but we can now start to program the token. So that, let's say that you want to have a Netflix subscription, but you only want to pay for 5 times. Well, we can actually program that type of payment, initiate the payment, verify the payment, and the payment is only going to be good for 5 times. Similarly, you could use it as a token to offer payment for a particular type of family member that you want to enable with payment, but only in certain areas. So there are many usages of those smart tokens where you in principle can move towards programmable money. Carta also had an available product. That might be funny, but a lot of this technology is so new that suppliers will tell that they have product ready, but in principle they are going to build it or in the process of building it. And that's something that we found out during the process. And and also to meet with customer delivery dates. As we are working for our customers, what has been important for us is also to be able to match their requirements in terms of timeline. And that is something that Carta have been able to deliver upon. What I will say about, let's say, key takeaways, Carta's basic solution is ready for the MasterCard scheme. And also, I think we started testing quite early on in the project, and that was very important for us. I think it was only after a month or so we did the first, let's say, testing of a prototype. And after only a couple of months, we were able to make an end-to-end process all the way from our merchant acceptance points through our system, through a tokenized process with Carta and back through our infrastructure. And that made us feel, let's say, more comfortable with the technology. We also were working together using Jira as a common tool between all parties. So we, let's say, recorded all the questions and findings and defects that we found during the process, and were able to use that as a collaboration tool. Then I think also one of the takeaways was the on-site support for wallet developers. So we brought in Carta people also in the process of building the wallets, which was useful and solved many issues and questions. And some of this tokenization process also, let's say, alerts existing fraud systems. They need to be able to understand these types of tokens and how they also work from a fraud perspective. So there has been a lot of learnings together with Carta on how that works. And also in things we could improve, and things that I would happily share would be important for the next ones doing this, is scheme certification takes a long time, and I guess more than we expected, since this is also new technology. So some scheme certification has been extremely important. And also I would say that communication with development teams in different time zones and poor phone connections can also be an issue. And sometimes these resources has been extremely busy. And I think that's part of the whole space now, is that everybody wants to have these type of technology implemented. So suppliers, they tend to be extremely busy, and that's something we need to recognize. But the TPA approach is what makes Carta a bit unique in our view, and this is something that you should consider in selecting tokenization provider, because that is comparing that to the more cloud-based approach that others do. Now, when we then move to open up what it enables us to do, this diagram shows, let's say, existing issuers integration with Nets and the various services, not exhaustive, but the various services that we provide with the banks. And that's all through a single integration. Now, our goal is to, in principle, integrate tokenization in the whole mobile theme as part of the existing infrastructure. So on the right side, you see the mobile elements such as tokenization, HCE, but also TSM, QR, BLE, other types of technologies integrated with a value-added service that goes across. Because the consumers can very quickly be hit with various different payment formats with different value-added services. And here we see we have a role in ensuring that the consumer will have the same experience across the different platforms, and that the banks, our customers, and the merchants, also our customers, don't necessarily need to pick who is going to win, but are able to offer all types of payments. Here you see the provisioning of various types of payments, where our platform in principle would be able to support any of these payments. But on the next slide here, you'll also see that from an acceptance point, we can now then also accept these different types of payment mechanisms through our terminals, either through NFC, Bluetooth, or QR codes. And I would say here we want to work for all devices, all mobile devices, but also all operating systems. There are a lot of different strategies that you need to be aware of by the different let's say, OEM pay providers and local players. And we want to enable or have the enablement of all types of payments. On the back side of it, you can say, well, since this is a tokenized transaction, then we can do stuff after the transaction as well. So let's say that you have a transaction that goes through as a traditional card payment, but we recognize for some reason that this person is part of a particular bank, or, well, then maybe we want to have the payment settled in account-to-account format. Or maybe we just want to offer the customer to pay with loyalty points straight in the interface in the point-of-sale terminal. We will simply have an option for the consumer to pay using their loyalty points. Similarly, the e-receipts, we will also be able to integrate that across the different payment formats that you might be using. So even though you pay with your physical card sometimes and sometimes with the mobile phone or other types of payments, even loyalty, we will still be able to integrate the whole receipt experience. So in the future, I believe you're also going to see, using these types of smart token technology, we're going to see different types of payments offered in the terminal as well. That could also be that you in principle are immediately approved for a loan in the store, or you divide your payment into 6 these types of payments where you already subscribe to a subscription when you stand in the store. So there are a lot of different things that we can enable using this technology. But what is important is to understand that we're using the traditional old card infrastructure, so it works with the merchants, it works through the existing systems. So I hope that, let's say, generated a view of our journey. We find this extremely exciting, and I also believe that we have implemented this type of technology in record time, and are already now launching the first banks on this technology in less than 6 months. So we have been able to implement and try this out, and we actually see that it is working very well, even with the TPA both stored in our premises but also off-site. And yeah, so far the journey has been good. I don't know if you, Elizabeth, or Buffy, if you want to share some of your views, if you see the same picture.
Thanks. Yes, thank you very much for your insights into the journey that you've taken. Would just like to elaborate a little bit on Carta's viewpoint of this same journey, and reflect on that based on discussions that we have with others within the market. I think what you'll see as very different from our approach is that we're a processor and not a software vendor, and what is allowing us to bring solutions quickly to the market that are ready to deploy and get that speed to market that Henrik has been highlighting. Additionally, as a processor, we're able to give our partners the tools so that they can remain central to the processing services that they're delivering to their customers, other financial institutions or their own internal financial institution, or even retailers. Basically, what we're seeing in the market is that financial institutions, financial service providers are making decisions between 2 different ends of the spectrum. Do I have something that's fast and easy to market, or do I have something that is I have a tremendous degree of control over? There's a lot of software solutions available on the market that allow financial service providers, financial institutions to have a significant degree of control. However, with that becomes tremendous amount of effort around hardware procurement, software configuration, and customization. Additionally, certifications and testing. That takes a great deal of time and a tremendous amount of cost. And this is where some parties have found their journey to get to market quickly has really been impaired. What Carta provides is something that provides the pipes easily. It's built, it's developed, it's provided as an on behalf of service that our partners can deploy easily, quickly, and then are able to focus more on those additional services. They have the foundations from us to process tokenized transactions, and now they can focus on all of the additional services that differentiate their brand in the market. And you've seen a lot of these examples based on the comments that Henrik has made about all the different services that they're delivering to their customers. So basically, Carta provides a full stack of solution ready to deploy. That includes an account management system for cardholder user registration and management, card registration, a credential provisioning management, which allows for that provisioning and management of tokens, a token management system as well, which manages those tokens and processes those tokens and token vault, and additionally mobile payment application capabilities. The idea here is the full package is able to provision, secure, and manage those payment card credentials on an eligible handset. It ensures that the consumers and financial institutions are onboarded easily and cost effectively. It supports several different scheme specifications. For example, we already support MasterCard, Visa, JCB, and others in the roadmap. So really providing a full end-to-end suite of services for our customers. We can deploy this solution in two different models. One is fully hosted in one of our data centers, and that is very effective for quick speed to market for many of our customers, either as a temporary solution or ongoing for some smaller players that don't need to bring it in-house. What is very unique to us is we provide a token processing appliance. Basically, that appliance provides all the hardware, software solution that we would have in our hosted environment, and we deploy that in the data center of our customers. So, for example, Nets will be hosting a token processing appliance from Carta to service their customers. In doing this, we have all the speed to market because it's all there and deployed on their behalf, but ensures that control that many financial service providers and financial institutions are looking for. So basically the best of both worlds in that case. So what we'll include is in the hardware are the servers, the HSMs, the software will be EMV co-tokenization, token vault, all the tokenization for custom account services, configuration. It's certified, tested, fully advanced technology with a clear roadmap for development. So not only the near-term solution, but the ability to manage how to stay relevant as requirements within the market change. I think another a very important point, and I think Henrik touched on this as well, is those of us who've been in this space for a while have really recognized that it's not just about changing the form factor of payments, that we have to add greater value to both the participating retailers as well as end user consumers. What has been identified as highly valuable is things like gift cards, loyalty programs, offers, all of these things that create new revenue opportunities for merchants, new way to attract and retain customers, but as well additional value for consumers as they engage in these new technologies. Certainly there's a lot of different vendors that are providing different tools for targeting customers, for delivering loyalty programs, for managing content, etc. But one of the major hurdles has really been, how do we make that happen at the point of sale? A major challenge has been having tremendous loyalty programs, but the point of sale devices, the terminals, the systems, need a significant amount of integration and customization to make it work. So how does that happen? Well, as Carta is a processor, and we are able to bring to the table this concept of smart tokens that Henrik touched on. So not only can we provide that view of how to manage contact, how to target consumers, but we can make it happen effectively at the point of sale without a lot of loop. So you see on this slide on the left side is what we're doing with a payment transaction. We're tokenizing that credential and making that work at the point of sale. We can actually set some parameters on those tokens, and because we're processing those tokens as well, those parameters can be set around which retailer, outlet, validity date, time of day, against which that transaction will be authorized. And in doing that, we can actually take a credential that's already readable by that point of sale device and deploy against it those types of loyalty programs that previously were challenged. In doing this, we're able to deliver that value-added service. We're able to create new revenue opportunities for our customers as well as retailers. And we're also able to create that added dimension that's going to drive the scale and user adoption that's really going to make these programs successful. So we're very excited about the ability to begin deploying these types of programs and creative campaigns with our customers. I think in summary, you'll see that, as mentioned, this on behalf of service that is either provided as a hosted deployment or a token processing appliance in the customer's data center is creating that easy to deploy, speed to market, but additionally that flexibility with that processing capability to go beyond payments and deliver loyalty programs and other value-added services that are going to really make these programs successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Buffy, for your presentation. Now, we do have time available for your questions, and also a quick reminder that all the presentation slides for this event will be available to download from NFC World in higher resolution from later on today. Okay, I can see we have got a number of questions that have been submitted. There is still time to add your own question if you would like to. To do that, you just need to type your question into the Ask a Question button on your BrightTalk console, and it should pop up so that I can take a look at it and see if I can pose it to our experts who are with us today. So, taking a look at what's been asked so far, both Henrik and Buffy, both of you covered the time to market and the speed that's involved. The speed saving that can be involved with this kind of approach. And a question here asking if you could maybe be a little bit more specific. If I ask you first, Henrik, how long actually has the tokenization implementation project actually taken? And they're asking about both the implementation itself and the project, including testing, certification, and processes like that. Might you be able to give us a little bit more detail?
Yes, I think that we need to distinguish between what is, let's say, Carta's delivery here and also the entire readiness of an infrastructure. Since we are transacting more than 400 billion Danish kroner annually, we have quite big systems that needs to be adjusted. But I would still say that because it's EMV co-standard, then all the carried PAN ID and all the information that goes through the systems are already recognized by the system. So the modifications to our system has actually been, let's say, profound, but limited to certain systems. Particularly the fraud systems have also been let's say, adjusted. The total project from selecting a supplier, including the implementation, has been maybe 9 to 10 months, but the actual project in itself, maybe 6 months. And now we have enabled the entire infrastructure. So now we can do tokenization for all our banking customers, which is more than 200. We can do it, let's say, in terms of payment for all our merchants, which is more than 300,000. I think we have more than 500,000, let's say, terminal points. So our entire infrastructure has been enabled. And so for the bank of our, let's say, our customers, this is what we provide. We have, let's say, made that investment on their behalf. So for our customers, it will now be easy to offer tokenization. If you are, let's say, a bank that wants to do this yourself, then it is entirely up to the infrastructure that you have and how much modification you would need to do. But the TPA approach here will ensure that it's probably going to be more limited because you in principle have an appliance box where Carta take full responsibility. I don't know if Buffy has some experience she can share.
I think you've effectively covered off the speed to market that we're seeing here. We anticipate that this speed to market will only improve further as the technology matures, as the specifications, et cetera, are clear and mature as well.
Oh, okay, and we've also got some questions around how long the implementation process takes for banks themselves. So once you have this TPA solution and it's live and it's all up and running, Henrik, how long do you expect it to take one of your card issuer customers to actually be able to go from saying yes, we want to do this to launching a service?
Well, I would be as blunt as to say it's more on the business side. How fast can you process, let's say, the commercial agreements and so on? Because tokenization is in principle a rather simple and stupid process of just converting sensitive payment information into non-sensitive payment information. And once you have done the initial investment in the entire infrastructure, then in principle enabling a different, let's say, payment scheme on top comes down a lot to the different parties involved and the commercial agreements and let's say all the practicalities. But it's not a technical bottleneck anymore because that's, let's say, solved. There might be some certifications from the schemes and other, depending on what scheme you are using and deploying it with.
Okay. Buffy and Giles, can you give any input there on, I don't know if there's differences between Net's particular situation and other parts of the world, or what sort of factors might impact on how long it would take a bank to go live?
I think I would concur with what Hans Henrik is saying about typically at this point, the business agreements tend to be the rate determining factor over the technology. The beauty of having the TPA is it's something ready to go, and when we talk about one market to another, it's able to quickly address the data residency requirements of a lot of markets. So the technology is really there and ready, and it's really the business agreements to go. I think there's an additional benefit from the perspective of a market such as what Nets is addressing, in that they already have the connections, et cetera, to so many banks and retailers and merchants, and that gives them a real advantage in deploying this across a broad market, and benefits the banks and merchants in that market, given the efficiencies that they're able to deliver by using this TPA and addressing the market. So that's a real benefit, and we can see that's likely going to be the case in other markets where there's central players there that can run with this type of technology and create these efficiencies and scales by applying it across multiple stakeholders within that market.
Okay, thank you. So one perhaps I'll throw out to Giles first of all. Just asking, are you finding, are your customers, and I guess more widely the card issuers that you're talking with around the world, are you finding that people are showing a preference for the hosted model or for the on-premise solution like Nets has chosen? And are you able to kind of give any sort of more detailed analysis of why one might be better for the other, depending on someone's circumstances?
Sure, absolutely. So I think, as Buffy mentioned, as she was walking through some of the deployment options, hosted provides a very rapid to market and very low impact and low cost solution that can scale as an issuing service grows. So you could think of it analogous to what Salesforce is for CRM, where the investment is very minimal. The cost is based on the volume, and realistically, mobile and NFC payments is still in the growth phase. So this allows that investment cost to be aligned with the gradual growth of the usage. But of course, it means that service is going to be provided external to the issuer's infrastructure. So what we see the decision factors is a bit of a balancing between cost and control, where hosting offers a very low cost, very flexible and adaptive solution. But for some issuers that are either regulatory mandated to maintain that data in-house and on-premises, or for other security requirements, they may choose to make the investment to bring that internally. And I think what's really special about this solution is these really aren't mutually exclusive. So we've have a number of scenarios where we've used a hosted model to provide a very fast to market, very adaptive solution that may allow for quick movement in market, potentially even a validation of some of the product constructs, as mobile payments is still quite new in market, and it's very valuable to get something out in market and into real people's hands and in use, so you can see that experience firsthand and in the wild, but still have that roadmap path to then bring some of that infrastructure in-house. And I think that's something that's critically important and core to the philosophy of what we're talking about here, which is maintaining that ability as an issuer, as a payment provider, to have adaptive capability as the market continues to evolve. I think one thing we've seen over the recent years is the market is continuing to change, and I think we can say with some confidence that we probably haven't seen the last of it, and there's still more things around the corner that we haven't seen yet. And so I think giving the flexibility to, let's say, manage upfront investments now without walking into a set solution from any given provider or service or network, and giving that control to act now but still pivot and adapt as the future unfolds, we think is really valuable, and we really, our approach is to design the technology to support that and to really maximize that flexibility.
Okay, great, thank you. And perhaps sort of expanding on that a little bit, we've also sort of got a couple of questions regarding alternate PAN versus EMV tokenization. Are you able to support both options? Are you seeing different preferences between different kinds of banks, and sort of where do you see things going on that front?
I mean, I'll maybe just speak briefly about that, and maybe leave a more in-depth discussion for another offline discussion or another venue. But I think our view is that the alternate PAN is will not be around long term. I think the EMV code tokenization specifications is what will be driving the market going forward. Having solutions that are compliant with that is, even though it's still in the early stages now, I think directionally the approach that we're taking, and I think it's important to build with that in mind and have that roadmap. Certainly we can support both today, but our vision going forward is that the EMV tokenization specifications are quite clear, and I think that's going to be the industry standard, and so that's where our emphasis is very much.
Okay. Buffy, in terms of certification, does your TPA solution, does it need to be certified by card region in order to be implemented by a bank in that region, or is it something that's been globally certified already?
The key back-end components are globally certified. So when we bring the TPA with our technology to a customer, those components themselves are globally certified. There may be some site certifications that are going to be required for the local deployment of that TPA, depending on the requirements in that market and what the schemes require. And additionally, depending on what is expected to be done with the mobile payment application, there are likely some additional security and functional tests that would be required for that specific deployment, and the degree to which or the time that is likely to take will be dependent on the degree of deviation from what has already been certified and approved.
Okay, is that something that would apply whatever tokenization solution somebody was going with, or are there differences?
Correct.
Okay, so it's not that it's specifically to do with the TPA itself.
No. With the TPA, the one benefit is that technology that is delivered, the back-end components are certified.
Okay.
We manage that on our side, yeah.
Okay.
As well as the site certification for anything that's hosted by us.
Okay, and you touched on in your presentation about the one of the advantages of the TPA being that it was, it might have been Henrik actually, about it being sort of physically located in one place. And I know, Buffy, you guys have that hosted option as well. Whereabouts is your data centre situated? Is somebody going to the hosted option? Where is that data going to be?
Okay, I think I lost you for a bit, but were you asking where our data centers were?
So if somebody is going for the hosted tokenization solution.
So we have a data center in Europe and we have one in Canada.
Okay, that was nice and neat. Okay, and is Carta currently, lots of questions about Apple Pay always, are you able to provide support for Apple Pay currently? Sorry, Buffy, I probably should have asked you specifically. The Apple Pay uses tokenization, right? So with the TPA, you can use this too.
Yeah, so the design of the TPA is to be compatible with cloud-based payments and those specifications from the schemes, as well as secure element models and what we broadly refer to as the OEM Pay wallets. I don't think we can get into detail around specifics there, but I think if it's all right, we'll leave it that it is very much compatible with, let's say, the OEM pays and the third-party wallet models.
Thank you. Thank you. And Hans-Henrik, one final question as we're just coming up to the end of our hour. I know Nets operates across the Nordic region, but are there particular countries that you're expecting to deploy these services in first, or is it going to be across the Nordic region?
It's going to be across the Nordic region. We have customers that covers all countries, and we are launching the technology in the different countries. I cannot go into details about.
No, that's fine.
But clearly it's a Nordic infrastructure. So we are able to support all markets, and some of our customers are let's say, only present in one country, but some are present in several countries, and we're able to support all of them.
Oh, okay. So are you going to have some card issuers who are going to be launching like to the same company but with customers in multiple countries
Yes.
across the Nordic region? That
Yes.
sounds like it's going to be absolutely fascinating. Thank you very much. Okay, well, it looks like our time is pretty much up. So, oh, there we go. Sorry, just clicking through here. Thank you all for attending, and I hope you will all join me in thanking our speakers for sharing their knowledge and expertise today. Thank you, Giles. Thank you, Hans Henrik, and thank you very much, Buffy. And my thanks also to all of you in the audience today, and I hope you'll all join us again for future events in the NFC World webinar series. Have a great rest of day.